Welcome back to ARAP. Today we are taking a deep look into one of the biggest stories shaking Washington, a story that has created confusion, pressure, and major questions about the direction of America's disaster response system. And if you stay until the end, I'll explain the long-term consequence experts believe this crisis could have on future floods, hurricanes, and national emergencies across the United States. So stay with me. What triggered the political storm was the sudden resignation of David Richardson, the acting head of FEMA, after only 6 months in the position. It wasn't announced with a speech. It wasn't done through months of preparation. He stepped down abruptly, leaving behind an agency already struggling with internal tension and external criticism. Richardson entered FEMA with a promise to make the agency faster, leaner, and more efficient. But his approach quickly became one of the most debated leadership styles in recent memory. From the moment he took office, controversy surrounded his management. In his very first all-hands meeting, he reportedly told staff that he alone spoke for FEMA and that anyone standing in his way would be run over. Some saw this as firm leadership. Others saw it as a worrying sign. Throughout his tenure, long-serving FEMA employees expressed concern about his limited background in large-scale disaster response. He came from a defense-related division in the Department of Homeland Security. Highly experienced, yes, but not in the specific areas FEMA handles every day, such as flood coordination, hurricane evacuation planning, or earthquake recovery logistics. The moment things escalated beyond repair happened during the devastating floods in Texas earlier this year. Families were displaced, entire communities were underwater, and states were seeking federal help as quickly as possible. During this crisis, many expected the FEMA director to be physically present in the affected areas, coordinating in real time. Instead, Richardson remained in Washington, insisting he could manage operations better from headquarters. That decision became a major turning point. Critics argued that field leadership matters during life-and-death emergencies. Internally, staff said coordination lagged, communication broke down, and the agency struggled to respond with the speed Americans expect from FEMA. This criticism wasn't limited to FEMA employees. Governors, members of Congress, and state emergency directors began questioning the effectiveness of FEMA's leadership. And as the debate grew louder, more information leaked about internal resistance to Richardson's restructuring plan. Under wider political direction, FEMA was being pushed to reduce federal involvement and shift more responsibility to individual states. While some believe this would reduce bureaucracy, others warned that cutting too much too fast would weaken national preparedness. According to several reports, key training programs were reduced right before hurricane season, and critical roles were left unfilled as experienced staff retired or resigned. Adding to the instability were legal questions about Richardson's eligibility to serve as acting administrator under the Federal Vacancies Reform Act. The uncertainty around whether he met the formal requirements to hold the role created an additional layer of pressure on an already strained agency. Various lawmakers requested clarification, and internal documents showed disagreement about the interpretation of federal appointment rules. When all these issues combined, operational failures, internal division, legal uncertainty, and political scrutiny, the result was a leadership environment that became nearly impossible to sustain. And so, after months of pressure, David Richardson stepped down. He is now replaced by Karen Evans, FEMA's chief of staff, and someone with deeper experience in emergency management. Early reactions from within the agency suggest relief and cautious optimism. But the challenges she inherits are significant. She must rebuild internal trust, restore coordination systems that were disrupted, and prepare the agency for the natural disasters experts warn will become more frequent and severe in the years ahead. Now here's the part few people are talking about. Richardson's resignation isn't just a personnel issue. It exposes a larger conflict within FEMA over the future of disaster management in America. On one side is the belief that the federal government should play a central role, especially when disasters overwhelm state resources. On the other side is a push for states to take more responsibility, with FEMA stepping back except during national-level catastrophes. Richardson's tenure represented the second vision. With him gone, the agency's direction may shift again, but the internal debate remains unresolved. This uncertainty comes at a time when the United States is facing record heat waves, more powerful hurricanes, rising flood risks, wildfires, and unpredictable weather patterns. FEMA's effectiveness depends heavily on clear leadership, strong coordination with states, and well-funded preparedness programs. When leadership changes abruptly, especially during ongoing disasters, it can slow response times and weaken long-term planning. The most serious concern raised by emergency management experts is that constant restructuring and leadership turnover could create gaps in readiness at exactly the wrong time. Many disasters strike with little warning. Agencies need steady leadership, unified communication, and reliable resources to act without hesitation. If those systems become unstable, the consequences can reach far beyond politics. Richardson's resignation, then, is not just about one person stepping down. It represents the collision of management style, political vision, disaster response philosophy, and institutional culture. It highlights how fragile emergency response systems can become when leadership is uncertain. And it raises a simple but important question. Is the country prepared for the next major disaster? If you made it this far, drop a blue heart in the comments. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel. Until next time, stay informed, stay aware, and I'll see you again soon.